American Eye has learned quite a bit since our last video about the best vehicles, and if the zombie apocalypse was to ever arise, there will be plenty more vehicles to choose from. Getting around during this chaotic time will prove to be much more challenging than you could possibly imagine, so you need to choose wisely. From nuclear-powered submarines to futuristic car designs which could be available, here are the best vehicles for the zombie apocalypse, Part 2. Number 12. Government MRAPs. MRAPs have been making their way from the battlefield and into hands of law enforcement. MRAP stands for Mine Resistant Ambush Protected. They are not only extremely powerful and intimidating, they can withstand the blast of a claymore mine. When riots began to get out of control during the zombie apocalypse, imagine that police sent out MRADs, so there's bound to be a few out there. The MRAPs have apparently become highly demanded by police departments in recent years, which almost makes you believe that they're preparing for the zombie apocalypse as well. You better believe the FBI's got their hands on these. Once you're able to get a hold of an MRAP, just make sure you keep it properly fueled and you can drive it just about anywhere. There's even been talks about making what's known as the MRAP 2, which is even more resistant to explosions. And who knows what kind of secret weapons the FBI could be keeping in these things. Number 11. Fat bikes. Bicycles are a great way to move around during the zombie apocalypse, and being able to have a vehicle which runs with your own energy could prove to be useful if looting gasoline is difficult. Fat bikes are an oversized off-road bicycle which can allow for you to ride on unstable or soft terrain such as snow, sand, bogs, and mud. This will allow you to take your bike just about everywhere without worrying too much about a flat tire. These grew to popularity in the 1980s in places like Alaska and have even been used on Antarctica. You won't have too much difficulty taking these to your next hiding spot during the zombie apocalypse either. These are still quite popular in remote places in countries like Canada, Finland, and the US. So there's a chance you could find one, but don't be too reliant on that being your way to obtain it. You might have to get these bad boys custom made. Just keep in mind that these do require you to be in decent physical condition to operate, so hit the gym already. Number 10. Police vehicles. Traditionally, the US only uses American-made vehicles such as Chevy, Dodge, and Ford, although there are a few exceptions. This photo here, taken of the Chicago police, is a good example of Chevy Tahoes being used. If you are able to come across a squad car during the zombie apocalypse, there's a good chance there's plenty of useful items inside for you to enjoy. Standard equipment in each one of these includes 12-gauge shotguns, a radio, a flashlight, a dashboard cam, and possibly a bad guy in the back seat, which could all be useful in the zombie apocalypse. The squad cars are generally built more durable than most civilian models and are expected to conduct high-speed pursuits. Top cars in France, on the other hand, are generally less intimidating, and you can maybe skip on taking one of theirs. Number 9. Pickup trucks. Many people are fully aware of the pickup truck's capability during the zombie apocalypse, and it's also going to make our list as a standard vehicle people should consider. The bed of the truck is useful for storing large amounts of weapons and supplies, and even people if you need to. Those trucks, such as the Chevy Silverado, are fully capable of going off-road and can move swiftly through dirt trails. They're one of the most commonly used automobiles by hunters and other survivalists, and their importance can't be overlooked. Let's also not forget about the different ways you can modify your truck for the zombie apocalypse. Here in this photo, you see what's known as the Defender, which has brake-proof windows, off-road tires, lifted suspension, and it looks like it could be a beast to reckon with if you get away in this thing. Number 8. Volkswagen Baja Bug. When you want to go off-roading, you normally think to yourself a Jeep or a Land Rover would be useful, but why not the Baja Bug? This car mod originated in Southern California during the 1960s, and it still proves to be a good option. Being able to get to remote places during the zombie apocalypse is quite important, and these might be a good option to go with. These are basically built to handle off-road situations in the desert and can handle high speeds and rugged terrain. Baja Bug normally only has 2 seats, which means there isn't a ton of room for other survivors, but it mainly depends on which model of Bug you modified. This VW is built to handle a ton of abuse, and even a head-on collision isn't enough to stop this because the motor's in the back. Number 7. Drone cars. With all the popularity of drones in recent years, you might ask yourself, hey, why can't they make one big one enough to fit a person inside and let us drive it around? Well, don't worry, China is on it. China calls it their mega drone, and it's big enough to fit a person. One of these vehicles could essentially keep you safe long enough to make it from your home to your hideout in the woods. This was also unveiled in Las Vegas and has a total of 8 propellers, 2 on each end. The co-founder of the company, called Ehang, says it's about 10 times better than sitting in a Ferrari. If everyone was flying these things around, it might be trouble, but if you're the only one who's got one, you're gonna survive the zombie apocalypse, no problem. Number 6. The Bugatti Veyron. This Bugatti is certainly one of the fastest cars in the world and can go from 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. The faster you can get away from zombies, the better. Some have claimed that it's the fastest street-legal car, which does make it available to the public. During the zombie apocalypse, no one is going to pull you over for speeding, so why not get one of these? This $2.7 million car has been bought by some of the biggest celebrities who also seem like they know the zombie apocalypse could be here any day now. If you hit a zombie at max speed with one of these, it's likely to vaporize into zombie mist. The top speed reaches 268 miles an hour. It probably would be best to get this thing on a clear road where cars haven't been piling up. It's powered by a quad turbocharged and intercooled engine with aluminum block and heads. Be ready to fork out the gas money though, it gets only 7 miles per gallon. If you can't afford one of these, during the zombie apocalypse, it's best to keep it secret and not try to drive around in highly urbanized areas. Number 5. Virginia Class Submarines. There's a very good chance you'll never get the chance to ever step into one of these during your lifetime, but some nuclear subs can stay submerged for 25 years without needing to refuel. This class of submarine is really in a class of its own. It's expected to remain in service for at least the next 43 years. Each one is carefully crafted, which requires an estimated 9 million labor hours for construction of a single Virginia Class submarine. These are supposed to be America's most advanced series of submarines to this date, and who knows, they could even be the reason for the apocalypse. You can imagine these would be expensive to construct considering there's a nuclear reactor on board. It's clear to see how this would be a great vehicle considering there's no way for zombies to get in. Or is there? This system includes new sonar systems, accurate cruise missile firing systems, pump jet propulsor, and improved gear for the safety of the crew in case it sinks. Many have called this the Ferrari of submarines, and only the best trained submariners will have the chance to ride in it. Cost per submarine? Only about $2.5 billion. Number 4. Mercedes G63 6x6. In case you don't think you can afford to fork over the $2.5 billion for a nuclear submarine, don't worry, you're not alone. You can still hopefully afford to get one of these beasts of German engineering. Mercedes is well known for creating elegant cars with high performance, but maybe they're secretly getting ready for the zombie apocalypse as well? Here we see a Mercedes G63 6x6, and you can clearly tell it's built to handle all kinds of terrain. The V8 $500,000 SUV looks like it would be built for the military, but you wouldn't find a better mix between luxury and ruggedness, it seems like. It has impeccable handling, and it's nearly tip-over resistant. It's even been seen climbing the sides of mountains. Whatever the situation calls for, it seems as though the Mercedes G63 can handle it. Good luck trying to find the gasoline for it though, however. But if you do, there's plenty of room in the trunk to store it. Number 3. The Rover. This car right here looks like it's been running over zombies all day long. It appears as though this car was modified to look like it created a bloody roadkill mess, and the paint job has it to match. But we can definitely see these Range Rovers becoming quite useful in the scenario of a zombie apocalypse. Range Rovers are typically a luxury SUV, however they can handle going off-road if they need to. Number 2. Monster trucks. Considering that you've possibly tapped into a reliable fuel source, monster trucks will simply allow you to drive over traffic jams instead of just trying to weave through them. These massive behemoths are built to put on a show, and by show, we mean crushing inferior cars at the bottom of its tires. We're sure it could withstand a few hits from some zombies. This photo here shows a photo of the truck known as the Gravedigger, and you can see that smaller versions of monster trucks can work just fine too. You can certainly consider a more lightweight version of a monster truck, but just get those huge tires and you'll be good. If this thing flips over, just good luck trying to drive it ever again. This monster truck here seems to be the perfect way to transport fuel during such a crisis. The wedge shape at the bottom reduces damage on the car in case of a collision with a zombie. And number 1, Armada Tank. This tank has state-of-the-art weaponry, a remote-controlled turret, and basically impenetrable armor that we couldn't destroy with our tanks. So it should be safe against zombies. Should. It also has the ability to be completely remote-controlled, and it's the first fully robotic tank in the world. Hopefully, the electricity is still running, and you would be able to clear passive zombies from the comfort of your own couch. Some commanders compare controlling these things to be similar to a video game. The Armada certainly has some firepower too, with its 154mm cannons, and it has longer cannons to maintain accuracy at a longer range. Find one of these tanks and enough fuel, and you could survive the zombie apocalypse. Which vehicle would you take in the zombie apocalypse? Let us know in the comments section, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video.